We have done the Lytton Live signal, so hopefully everything is up and running. For those of you that join us on Facebook or Twitch or Twitter, thank you for being patient here. Making sure we're ready to go. That's set. I did set that correctly. Okay, awesome. Double check, make sure we're live on YouTube. Yep, we are. This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you from the New Media Production Studio. The lead stories are Comcast gave false map data to FCC and didn't admit it until Ars Technica got involved. Codebreakers have deciphered the Mary Queen of Scots secret letters 436 years after her execution. Google has decided they are not going to ban AI-made pages as spam. And General Motors has struck a deal aimed at avoiding future chip shortage disruptions. I want to welcome you to episode 1649 of the Geek News Central podcast for Thursday, February 9th. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider. I want to give a warm welcome to all the brand new listeners of the show. Thanks for checking the podcast out. Thanks for being here and see what we've got going on. Make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. When you're on the website, please follow or subscribe to the podcast, or you can find this podcast in any podcast app just by searching for Geek News Central. We also do a video version of this show. So there's a video portion on Apple Podcasts, but not all apps support video. Make sure you get subscribed to our newsletter as well. The newsletter is linked a little bit further down on the webpage. That's where we deliver you all the show notes for this specific episode with all the links to everything I'm talking about. Definitely check that out. You can always join our chat room at geeknews.chat, geeknews.chat. That's a Mastodon chat server. Just turned on. A whole bunch of people that requested access over there. So I think we had 12 or 13 over the past week that have asked to be on the server. So go ahead and apply for an account. Let them know that you're a GNC fan. We also have a Discord channel as well as a Slack channel. So wherever you prefer to hang out, let me know. We'll get you hooked up and connected here. Of course, you can contact me via email, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com, or on Twitter @geeknews. Great way to stay connected is drop me an email, let you know at the show. Also, you can follow me on Facebook. That's real simple. All you do is search for my name, Todd Cochran. Follow me and friend me over there, and happy to friend you back. All the partner shows are linked at geeknewscentral.com, so definitely when you get over to the website, right on the top green bar, the new media show, the Gadget Professor, the GNC Week in Review, 3 active shows that you can check out. Definitely get subscribed to them. Don Bain runs the Gadget Professor. The GNC Week in Review is with our executive producer, Kirk, and he's co-hosts that with Scott. So definitely check that out. New media show is hosted by myself and Rob Greenlee. It's all about podcasting. Feel free to pick up and subscribe to those shows as well. We thank you so much when you consider doing that. But more importantly, our show is sponsored by, and I say our because it's part of this audience's show. It's all a big team. And our show is sponsored by GoDaddy. And all you got to do is go over to geeknewscentral.com, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Again, /GoDaddy. That'll land you on that page that allows you to really save some money. When it comes to hosting accounts, we've got the best deals in space, but let me give you a rundown on these deals. 30% off of new product purchases by using the code CJCGeek30. $4.99 on a .com. That's for new or transferred in domains for new customers only. Then we've got hosting accounts, $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain, $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year, again with a free domain, or $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year with a free domain, or $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year with a free domain. All those codes, again, are located at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. They're right there on the page. And of course, you can get a free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder, your choice of personal business or business plus plans. That's a 1 month free trial. All the codes start with CJC. And then it's either Geek or GNC, and then the little code number. So definitely get over there, click on the link, take you over to GoDaddy, lock in your savings, and doing so, you support this show. It really immediately is a situation where it's like you have written a check to this podcast by picking up a brand new hosting account. And we appreciate it when you do. Get online. We don't know what's going to happen with this economy. Pick up a free domain name. For $24, you're set for a whole year. $36 if you get the managed WordPress site. That's the one I like the best. And again, you get a free domain with it. So this is a no-brainer. And get set up. Even if it takes you a month or two to kind of get figured out what you want to do, play around, get set up today. We save you a ton of money. Geek News Central is saving an average of 94% per purchase on GoDaddy hosting accounts, an average of $3.50 on GoDaddy domain names. All these codes work, and your support keeps this podcast online and allows my independent writing team to do what they do, putting out great content on the website on a regular basis. And again, keeps the lights on, insurance paid, heat on, all those things that goes along with running a very small independent business with an independent website. So we definitely thank you for your ongoing support. You can always, through newpodcastapps.com, you can always support the show value for value. If you feel that we're giving you value, don't feel at all restricted in using a new podcast app at newpodcastapps.com to stream us some Satoshis by the minute or do a boost, sending a donation. We've had a few come in. We'll talk about those here in a second. And of course, don't forget, we've got the Insider Program where you can contribute with regular funds, $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, $25 a month, or a one-time donation. And all of those links are available on the website at geeknewscentral.com. So I just want to read some of the comments that have come in. And we've got some stuff that's come in for GNC. I got to scroll down here a little bit because we had a bunch of stuff come in. I got 100 sats from Weather Brian. He said, great content. AI is scary. He also says AMC will need to control seats or fights will break out. That's interesting. I got 10,101 sats from Dave Jones. He says, love seeing GNC pop up live in my podverse. Thank you so much. Again, 10,101 stats from Dave Jones. Caller 12, west of the Rockies. Go ahead. Thank you for Dave for sending that over. And, of course, 1,001 sats from Mike Dell says, listening live in podverse. That's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. That's how people send in donations to the show. So what did we get there? We got about... If you equal it all out, about $4 or $5, okay, we'll take it. So get over there and pick up a new podcast app at newpodcastapps.com. And you too can boost and send comments. And also you can stream by the minutes. I know a lot of people do. We appreciate it. And the tracker shows all those donations coming in. We really appreciate when they come in. And in your ongoing comments. Let's go ahead and get into the stack of stuff tonight. I have a pile for you. And, of course, boy, just a repeat of a couple of days ago. And, hey, Tony, thanks for saying hi on Facebook. Appreciate it. Comcast gave false map data to the FCC. Seems this is a recurring trend with ISPs, right? And didn't admit it until Ars Technica got involved. And basically starts the same way the little story did a couple weeks ago. Matthew Hiller can't get Comcast service at his home in Arvada, Colorado, but that didn't stop Comcast from claiming it serves his house when it submitted data to the FCC to their new broadband map. Comcast finally admitted to the FCC that it doesn't serve the address, but only after Ars Technica got involved. Comcast will have to correct its submissions for Hiller's house, and a bigger correction might be needed because it appears Comcast doesn't serve dozens of other nearby homes that it claims as part of its coverage area. So this is an ongoing thing now. And again, I ask you, as your listener of the show, to go to the broadband map, and it's broadbandmap.fcc.gov. And when you look up your address, make sure it's pointing at your house on the map. Make sure that the providers listed on the map are the ones you can actually get service for. And if you can't, please, you've got just about another week here to contest whether or not you actually have internet service from the providers that say they do. He makes do with CenturyLink, and its internet tops out at 60 megs and downloads at 5. Or uploads at 5, 65 down and 5 up. That's actually pretty good considering, where I lived. But Hiller's an engineer with 30 years experience who previously worked for several telecom firms, including Comcast and Charter, submitted the challenge to the FCC in mid-November, telling the commission that Comcast didn't serve his address. Correcting false data is important because the map will be used to determine which parts of the U.S. are eligible for the $42.45 billion in federal grants to expand broadband availability. Comcast obviously doesn't want other competitors to expand in that area. So by claiming that area is under high speed, other competitors potentially won't get money to bring service to those homes. The ISPs are required to respond to a challenge within 60 days, and Comcast's first response insisted that it actually does serve the house. The provider is subject to your challenge disputed your challenge, the FCC told Hiller in an automated email on January 21st. The FCC email laid out the lengthy promise that Hiller and other challengers are expected to compete to prove the ISP don't serve their homes. It says you and your provider are subject to availability challenge in 60 days to attempt to resolve the dispute. If you and the challenge provider are unable to reach consensus within 60 days, then the affected provider will report the status of efforts to resolve the challenge in the online portal. After that time, FCC staff will review the evidence and make a determination either to uphold your challenge or overturn. He wasn't pleased. He said, I submitted proof from Comcast Xfinity's own system that my address was not served. I expect more from my government body than to just say, sort it out and let us know how it turns out. Upon reviewing Hiller's address, Ars Technica verified that it was impossible to order service at the home on Comcast's website. Just as Hiller told the FCC, Comcast online availability checker sets an invalid address, even though Comcast not only told the FCC it was the home, but also disputed Hiller's challenge when he pointed out the error. And of course, Ars Technica found similar fake submissions. So Comcast finally admitted the FCC doesn't offer service at Hiller's home on February 3rd, one day after Ars Technica contacted Comcast's Public Relations Department. They responded, the provider subject to the challenge has conceded the challenge, required to submit a correction for the challenge location in the online portal within 30 days. Additionally, the challenge status on the FCC map website was changed from pending to upheld. So he says the only two options we have for wired service are TDS and Lumen, which is CenturyLink. I don't know why Comcast would claim service into our subdivisions. Very, very simple. They do not want other people to get money to expand broadband to those homes. So defending a mistake is a deliberate choice. It's striking that Comcast chose to contest the challenge before doing an investigation. And it's interesting here that they're doing this. So please, once again, the listener of the show, I want you to go over to broadbandmap.fcc.gov and go give it a run. See what your address says. See what the providers say. And if it's correct, great. If it's not, please challenge it. Moving on, a team of code breakers discovered and then cracked more than 50 secret letters written by Mary Stuart, Queen of Scots, while she was imprisoned in England by her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. In total, the team deciphered 57 letters penned from 1578 to 1584, which is interesting, is that while I find it fascinating that they decrypted these letters, It fascinates me that they were using encryption that was difficult to decipher in 1578. It really makes you go, So the three code breakers, George Lassery, a computer science and cryptographer, Norbert Bierman, a pianist and music professor, and Satoshi Tomokio, a physicist and patents expert, essentially stumbled upon the letters. The coded correspondence written by her, some 50,000 words altogether, were linked into a larger collection of documents, mostly relating to Italian affairs. All 57s were written in ciphertext. No parts of the document were in the clear, meaning they could not be attributed to anyone without first deciphered. In order to craft the code, the trio used a combination of computerized and manual code breaking along with linguistic and contextual analysis. But first, they had to transcribe all the materials, which included more than 150,000 symbols. For that, they used a bespoke graphical interface developed by Cryptool Project. Now, think about this for a second. I guess if you're locked up and have all the time in the world, you can write in ciphertext. The only challenge is you got to make sure the other person has the secret decoder ring, right? It's pretty amazing. They were all written in French. And so they said, we broken secret codes and kings and queens previously, and they're very interesting. But Mary, Queen of Scots, it was her Marcos. We had so many unpublished letters deciphered, and because she is so famous. But nothing extraordinary about there, or nothing extraordinary in them about how she was accused of being a traitor, then beheaded. But anyway, they announced this on the anniversary of her execution. Very interesting article comes out of Google, a statement in a sense, basically saying Google will not black hole AI-made pages as spam. Now, last year, Google search advocate John Mueller said using machine learning tools to provide text essentially is the same as just shuffling words around to game Google's bots and artificially pump up a page rank in search results. AI-generated content thus would be treated as spam, as it would be assumed to be low quality or useless. But Google has since changed its mind, has updated its rules. It's important to recognize that not all use of automation, this is an important part, including AI generation, is spam. Automation has long been used in publishing to create useful content. According to Google, software that has been used in the past by publishers and website owners to output things like sports scores, weather forecasts, and transcript is true. For instance, Associated Press has automated the production of articles about corporations' financial results, sports matches, and similar stuff that can be produced by a template. The Chrome maker will now continue to rank content that demonstrates four qualities, and it's dubbed EEAT: expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness regarding of how that material was created. Using AI to generate content to exploit search engine optimization, manipulate search results, however, is prohibited. So they say appropriate use of AI or automation is not against our guidelines. That means that it is not used to generate content primarily to manipulate search rankings, which is against their spam policy. Now, to me, the way this reads is that they are going to allow automation with limits. AKA, you want to have a sports site and you want to do the sports rundown? Probably okay. Want to produce financial results? Probably okay. But it doesn't really talk about the true ability to do individual writing. And this is where Geek News Central, every article on our website, minus the two that were created recently in the experiment, have all been handwritten by a human. And on top of that, the two articles that I did create with AI were edited for about 15 minutes each. They did have some personal editing to correct the issues in them. So I'm just wondering, and I'm still not truly warmed up to the idea that creating content for GNC using an AI is I don't think it's a good idea. The risk are too high. I spend a considerable amount of money every month paying the writers at Geek News Central. It's not an insignificant amount of money. It is probably the equivalent of about, for my annual budget for this show, this site, the office, everything, it's probably close to 20%, maybe 22, 23% of my overall expenses. So it's not inexpensive for the writers on this website to produce content. And there's a bigger play in that every article that is written feeds the Google machine, which indexes the website, which sends me traffic, which hopefully sends new listeners, and that whole cycle. So it's not something that I would consider undoing lightly. And I just wonder what you all think. geeknews@gmail.com is the email address. Geeknews wrong one. Geek News. Oh, hello there. Geeknews@gmail.com is the email address. GM strikes a deal aimed at avoiding future chip shortage disruptions. This was a big deal. The chip shortage hit GM very, very hard. It caused them to drop to number 2 in the world. So they struck the first kind of a deal with global foundries to lock down its supply of crucial semiconductors, and moved at avoiding disruptions caused by the global chip shortage. Under the agreement, Global Foundries will manufacture the chips at its semiconductor facility in upstate New York, win for American workers. The company, which is owned by the United Arab Emirates Sovereign Wealth Fund, Mubadala Investment, has said it would invest $1 billion to build a second factory near its Malta, New York headquarters. So, like all automakers, GM relies on chips to power a range of features in its vehicles, everything from automatic seats and infotainment system to more advanced automated features. The deal with GF will provide a boost to the company, which is still feeling the effects of the chip shortage that plagued the auto industry. So again, the company had to cut features for some vehicles, such as wireless chargers and HD radios, due to the supply problems. Now, we know that in August of 22, the president signed the Chips and Science Act, a $280 billion package that includes $52 billion in funding to boost U.S. manufacturing, which in my opinion is not enough. GM says it also worked with the GF to reduce the number of unique chips needed to power increasingly complex and tech-laden vehicles. With this strategy, chips can be produced in higher volumes, expected to offer better quality and productivity. So GM has been scrambling to lock down its EV supply chain in the rush to make more batteries and meet rising customer demand. So good move on GM on that part, bringing a chip manufacturing, at least some of it, back home. Microsoft wants students to develop better online research habits. Apparently, teachers can use Teams to ensure students aren't relying on misinformation. We all know how easy it is to look information up on the web, but Microsoft now wants to teach students how to spot misinformation. In addition to existing Search Coach, Microsoft is introducing a search progress feature in Teams for Education that helps teachers foster healthy online research habits through practice work. Educators can not only require a certain number of sources for an assignment, but check to see the students are searching responsibly. They'll know if students are only clicking on the first site and results, or using filters like NewsGuard to check source quality. I've never heard about NewsGuard. Students can show their reasoning and work before turning in a project as well. So it sounds like students are starting to do almost college level stuff, getting to use search tools and be able to source articles. They never did that when I was in school. I had to go to the library. and dig through an encyclopedia and hope the information was there. Some pretty cool satellite photos captures the AKA snow on Mars. It's really not snow, but Mars has frozen carbon dioxide, essentially dry ice. We know that carbon dioxide freezes minus 190 degrees. So according to these latest Mars pictures, they see him a few places, not too many. But Mars has an average temperature of minus 85, enough to make it considered a sandy of snowshoeing, even if the planet were inhabitable. Some of the lower altitudes can reach up to 7 degrees in the summer. But minus 190, and it looks like snow on the ground, but it's carbon dioxide. TP-Link has a new budget robot vac. Will clean for 2 weeks without being emptied. Really? It has to not run into something or get stuck. The TAP RV10 Lite is going to be available for $229. It's got a big bin. My Roomba I cannot. I have to it rarely finishes without getting stuck. And maybe it's just because it's old. But this thing comes with a 26 milliamp battery, about 3 hours of runtime, and the robot can automatically recharge and resume the job if they didn't get the job done. There's a slightly low 2000 PMX section. So for an extra $20, the TAP RV10 adds a 300 milliliter water tank and mopping pad, which can cover 2,100 square feet of floor and has 3 levels of water flow. It doesn't have the oscillating or extra scrubbing function that you'll find on higher end models, but at least collect some of the fine dust the vacuum might miss. Oh, that's interesting. Because I have carpet throw rugs, and then basically a hard surface. So interesting. $200. Now it's offering a $70 discount through February 13th. And again, looks like $229. This might be one to check out. I am going to point something out, and I pointed it out already. And if you're watching the show live tonight, make sure you say hi. Just say hello on Facebook. We definitely appreciate when you do. Or if you're on YouTube, please do that as well. The Verge has their guns out for Elon Musk. They hate him. The Verge has an article. Elon Musk's reach on Twitter is dropping. He just fired a top engineer over it. The chaos continues inside Twitter as employees worry about what will break, what will get them fired, and what will get them busted by the FTC. Boy, people are just, they're not giving this man a break at all. Now, they did have a little issue for those of us that are paying for Twitter Blue, which I am. And they went from 280 to 4,000 characters, and I guess it broke the site for a little bit. The idea is to eliminate Twitter threads. I don't want 4,000 characters, to be honest with you, and I doubt I will read something that has 4,000 characters. Well, I'm getting notifications on Mastodon. Where's that coming from? That's weird. Okay, well, anyway, I keep hearing... You hear that noise? I'm going to close this window so we don't get bothered by this. But it's just really obvious here that people have it out. They have it out for Twitter in a big way. They want it to fail. And that's too bad, really. It honestly is. Meanwhile, geeknews.chat, been running a Mastodon server long before Elon even talked about buying Twitter. So you can get an account over there if you want. Shopify is trying to lure sellers away from Amazon by promising seamless shipping and VIP access on container ships. Now, I read this, and I've always had ideas of things that would be cool to sell. I've never opened an online shop because I've always thought about the logistics. How do I get stuff that I want to buy, maybe from China, Taiwan, wherever, and put up and make for resale? And either that, I have to front my credit card and go out, and it's not cheap to get started as an online merchant selling stuff. But it looks to me Shopify is trying to make it so that you can have as few as 30 units and get shipping from or get in a container without a bunch of hassle and get products to the United States, to a warehouse. It's called Shopify Logistics. It's an umbrella in which the company will combine recent acquisition and partnerships with a freight forwarder, Flexport, to offer a single service to handle nearly all the logistics online sellers need. The Andrew Brown, the CEO, described as liberating entrepreneurs from the biggest headache in e-commerce, which I think is true. Liberation is what we believe will help a customer go from 1 sale a day to 5 sales a day to 100 sales a day. And Brown came to Shopify in 2017 from Amazon. The port-to-port service starts with Flexport. Flexport will allow Shopify merchants to get front-of-the-line access to space on container ships. Now, we talked about the last show how container ships right now are pretty empty. The goods will be trucked to one of Shopify's warehouse, and the inventory will be spread around a network of warehouses powered by Deliver. It's similar to Shopify Envision when it first announced a fulfillment network in 2019. So this inventory will flow into 2 or 3 Shopify-operated hubs, and the Deliver technology will route it on from there, choosing the best location for storage and fulfillment, and assigning quantities of goods based on the sales the system expects. So this is very, very cool. Initially, Shopify-run warehouses may be packing individual orders, but the plan is to keep the share of total orders packed in Shopify building decreasing. And so very, very cool. I don't know what this is going to cost someone, but this is something that kind of excites me just a little bit as you think about potential online businesses of things you can do. There's been things I've been to CES before. I'm like, man, if I could have 100 units of that sitting somewhere and sell them, but then to sign up for Amazon and all that other stuff that goes along with it, total pain. Total pain. Moving on, Disney's CEO Bob Iger says ESPN will one day be streaming only. He said it would be a phenomenal product for sports fans. ESPN Plus, the unit's current streaming arm, ended 2022 with nearly 25 million subscribers. Speculation has long swirled that Disney would spin off ESPN, but that's not in the cards for the newly returned CEO. And Iger said he predicts, again, I think the model ultimately will change regarding a shift for Disney sports content from linear to streaming. A so-called over-the-top model, streaming model, would be a phenomenal product. But, of course, right now, they get a huge amount of money from bundling deals. You know, this is why you can't get just one sports channel or none if you want some of the other stuff when you get TV from your carrier. And cutting the cord is becoming a bigger thing. So I understand why they're thinking about this. Redwood gets a $2 billion commitment from DOE for recycled batteries. The company's already started producing copper anode foil from recycled cells. So basically, they have a conditional commitment from the U.S. Department of Energy, again, for $2 billion. The money will be used to build out Redwood's recycling campus, which the company says will create 3,400 construction jobs and another 1,600 full-time employees once the site is fully operational. They were founded in 2017 by former Tesla executive J.B. Straubel, and they received some prior investment before from Amazon. So they've got partnerships with Ford, Volvo, and Volkswagen to recycle electric vehicle batteries, and they have companies like Panasonic and others who are already wanting to buy this material, and largely because of the laws that are going to go in effect where electric vehicle source components will have to be procured from within the United States in order to qualify for rebates. So we'll see what happens with this as time moves on. Singapore, I think probably the last country in the world, has pulled the plug on COVID tracking program. And on February 13th, the city-states Trace Together program, which uses the Bluetooth radios and mobile phones to track movements and business check-in system, will come to a halt. The government had already begun stepping down and would no longer require infected persons to submit trace together data. And the system remained intact, as well as registration details, including names, businesses, registration, and mobile phone numbers in case there's a need for reactivation. On the FTX side, FTX received court approval to subpoena founder Bankman-Fried and other insiders. They're going after everybody. They should. So they're going to issue subpoenas to his parents, Barbara Fried and Joseph Bankman, his brother Gabriel Bankman-Fried, former FTX chief technology Gary Wang, former Alameda CEO Carolyn Ellison, and former FTX operating officer Constance Wang. And, of course, Ellison and Gary Wang have already pleaded guilty to fraud charges for their role in the collapse. Of course, Bankman-Fried has pled not guilty in a scheduled face trial in federal court in Manhattan in October. The subpoenas focus on questionable spending by FTX insiders that include $16.7 million spent by the Bahamian real estate by Bankman-Fried's parents, and a Washington, D.C. headquarters building purchased by Guarding Against Pandemics, and an advocacy organization founded by Bankman-Fried brothers. And they're also seeking information about political donations, in addition to donations by Sam Bankman-Fried. His mother founded a political action committee called Mind the Gap, which made recommendations to a network of political donors. So no one's available for comment on that one. So subpoenas coming their way. How many of you bought one of your children? Hey, Richard, thanks for checking in. Hi, Mom. Thanks for checking in. Again, thanks for watching live tonight. How many of you parents are buying your kids, keyword is kids, a Apple Watch? Well, Find My Kids app is basically AirTags for your offspring built into an Apple Watch. Once installed on an Apple Watch, a child safety application works autonomously with or without a child's phone connected. This is the first time an Apple Watch device can share its location with phones outside the Apple ecosystem, the company said in a helpful media missive. The app is designed for children of 6 years and older. So the developers clearly imagine it's possible this 7-year-old could be a proud owner of an Apple wristband device, which start around $400. I am not allowing a 6-year-old to wear an Apple Watch. The thing will end in the trash. It'll end up in a desk drawer. It'll end up in a lunchbox. It'll end up in the bottom of a brown bag for lunch. There is no way on this planet I would allow a 6-year-old. What's the age? What's the age I don't think until they get into the teenage years would I even consider it. Even then, they're going to have to buy it with their own money. They're getting a cheap Seiko, right? Or a cheap digital watch. They're not getting an Apple Watch. I can't even afford to buy myself an Apple Watch. I'm joking. I can afford to buy myself, and I have an Apple Watch. But you know what I mean, right? That's some money. And they still want cell phones besides? Okay. I guess some of you out there, they must have some empirical evidence that you all are out there spending money with buying your kids Apple Watches when they're older than 6. If you have, I'm not going to shame you, but email me here at geeknews@gmail.com. Just raise your hands that I did and let me know why. I won't name you on the show, but why? Really? Lucid tries to keep pace with rivals with a $7,500 EV credit, but they really aren't eligible for federal tax credits. So the car's so expensive, the luxury vehicle is so expensive that the federal government says you can't give $7,500 back. But because they want to compete, they're going to give $7,500 off the cost of the car. The Pure variant starts at $87,400. The Lucid Air Touring starts at $107,000. The Grand Touring version starts at $138,000. Wow. That's some money. What does that car do besides run on electric? Come on now. It's like fellas that buy big pickup trucks that live in the city. Spend $100,000 for a pickup truck that they never put anything in the bed of the pickup truck. Yeah, I see you out there. Now, this should make you sit back in your seat just a little bit. Apple services now generate more revenue, listen to this, than Nike and McDonald's combined. Apple services recorded a revenue of $79.4 billion in 2022. The revenue came from Apple Cloud, Apple TV, Apple App Store, Apple Music, Apple Arcade, and Apple Fitness. $79.4 billion. Now, Coca-Cola had $42.3 billion. Netflix had $31.6. McDonald's had $23.3. And again, interesting, Apple services revenue for 22 is more than that of McDonald's and Nike combined, which stood at $72.3 billion. Look at this. They're making more money on services than Boeing, which builds airplanes, drones, does all kinds of things for the Defense Department. And, for airlines, Intel, $63.1 billion, Nike, $49.1, American Airlines, $49 billion, Coca-Cola, $42.3. Look at these numbers. Whoa. Are we giving Apple a serious pile of cash or what? This is just the service business for Apple. If this doesn't blow your mind, I'm sorry. You're living in a different planet than I am. Holy cow. The autopilot was not a factor in the fatal Tesla Model S crash. Remember, 2 people died in 2021 collision in Texas. They weren't using autopilot. The seatbelts were fastened when the vehicle crashed, a short distance from the home from which it originated. And occupants were not able to get out of the vehicle. The men died as a result of the collision and post-crash battery fire. So nothing to do with autopilot. Matter of fact, the car's autopilot had never been engaged on that vehicle. Curiosity out there on Mars still finds clear evidence yet for water on Mars. A rippled rock ridge suggests the presence of lakes and waves at higher elevations than expected. I think we are pretty much sure now that at one time in the very, very distant past, Mars had water on it before it all burned off. And they say, we've climbed through thousands of feet of lake deposits and never saw evidence like this. And now we find it a place we expected to be dry. They say the ripples in the dirt were formed as waves lapped the shores of an ancient shallow lake in the area. Billions of years ago, waves on the surface stirred up sediment at the lake bottom over time, creating a rippled texture left in rock. So there we go. We're pretty sure. Another layoff is coming, this time coming from Yahoo. I'm surprised Yahoo's still in business. Yahoo is to lay off more than 20% of its staff as it shrinks ad business. The changes will end Yahoo's year-long effort to compete directly with Google. In an interview, Yahoo CEO Jerry Lazone stressed that the layoffs are not attributed to financial challenges, rather strategic change to the company. So what is that total number? What's that number going to be? How many people are going to be let go? Roughly 1,000 positions will be eliminated Thursday, representing 12% of the total plans. The remaining 8%, about 1,800 total people then will be cut, maybe 1,900 or so. So more cuts are coming. More companies are slashing. No more free love. Netflix expands account sharing restrictions. A 31-day limit on how long you can be away from your home IP address is included. When they put this in the United States, my son in Hawaii is going to be very disappointed because he's on my Netflix account and they're just going to have either I'm going to probably have to pay for a second location. It looks like they're allowing that, but it's like some countries it's like $10. In Canada, it's $7.99. New Zealand, $7.99. $3.99 in Portugal, and $5.99 in Spain to add additional users for additional locations. So they're bringing the hammer. Well, they're hurting for money, and they need more money. Meta, a.k.a. Facebook, has restored President Trump's Facebook and Instagram accounts. He's yet to post on the platforms after the company lifted a 2-year ban. So Meta, like Twitter and other services, we know kicked him off in 2021. And so anyway, he is back online. And but we know that he has an agreement with free speech app Truth Social, where he has to share social media posts there first and can't plop them anywhere else for at least 6 hours. So, okay. 1Password, how many of you use that as a password app? Will soon skip passwords in favor of passkeys. This is a good move. Passkeys are much, much more secure. So passkeys can replace passwords by providing a unique digital key stored locally on your device. They are much less susceptible to theft in the case of data breaches or phishing attempts and can integrate with your device biometric security, including fingerprints and facial logins. 1Password's passkey support will be built on the same security foundation as secret keys. The long recovery codes platform generates as a fallback sign-in option. So, good move on those. I hope LastPass does the same thing. The FCC sides with Amazon, clears plan for Project Kuiper over SpaceX and one other company's objections. The FCC is sided with Amazon on its regulatory battle over Project Kuiper, the company's satellite internet system. They approved Amazon's plan to prevent the upcoming satellite internet constellation from causing orbital debris in space. The decision clears a regulatory hurdle. Our action will allow Kuiper to begin deploying its constellation in order to bring high-speed broadband connectivity to its customers around the world. In intervening months, Amazon submitted, see, they basically have Starlink and SpaceX and others don't feel they have the same technology to deorbit their satellites. And despite the concerns, the FCC decided to greenlight them, but they are under restrictions. For example, Amazon is required to report to the FCC when it has failed to properly dispose of 2 or more satellites per year. In the event of disposal failures exceeds the reporting threshold, the Commission will consider whether additional license conditions or limitations, deployment, and operations may be necessary, taking into account any materials submitted by Kuiper to address corrective measures. So they got to be able to deorbit these things. There's going to be so many of them up there. SpaceX, too. They all do. You know, this AI stuff is out of control, but there's a robot that uses AI to paint whatever you tell it to. And it uses actual paint. This is bizarre. I'm just looking at this article, and it looks like it used watercolors. And you tell it what to paint. I guess there's some sort of software iteration, and it does it. So, you know, one of the pictures they show is a green frog dances like a ballerina. Okay, I guess it's a green frog dancing as a ballerina. Looks like something I would have made when I was a kindergartner, to be quite honest with you. What else? Is there any more pictures of what this thing will do? It's got a bunch of stuff that's on the... I don't know if these are actual... paintings created by Frida, who collaborates with humans to convey the artistic vision through text or image prompts. All right. I don't know if I'm wanting this on my wall. Thank you very much. I have enough stuff left over for when my kids were in school that kind of looks like that. So, what say you? Disney's going to cut 7,000 jobs. The entertainment giant's tightening its workforce by about 3%. So, they have 220,000 employees. So 7,000 are getting the axe. Apple's hired its first people officer, an executive reshuffle. What is a people officer? Shifting human resource duties from a head of retail, overhauling the way the tech giant hires and supports employees. Okay, I guess what that is. Head hires its first people officer, not HR, first people officer. I've never heard that term before. The move, the responsibilities from Didier O'Brien has long run Apple's human resource, in addition to serving as its retail chief, a role she'll continue to hold. So they can afford to hire some more executives. Robinhood revenues rise on higher rates, plans share buyback from Emergent. So things are up, but there's some worry out there, and some things are happening. I'll talk about it in a second. It's now it's a change too. Discovery Plus will remain as a standalone streaming platform after all. HBO Max subscribers will likely have to pay more for a service that folds in Discovery Plus content. Okay. So I guess they're sticking with the name. It's interesting. But if you want to have HBO, they're going to keep HBO Max as a standalone app. I guess, here's the thing. I know HBO. I know Discovery. We know that they're together. But a lot of people don't. So I think this is a smart move. Disney Plus costs $5 a month with ads, $7 to go ad-free, while the ad-supported version of HBO costs $10 a month or $16 without ads. That company service is expected to be more pricier than the HBO Max, of course. So we'll see what transcends. Ukraine war, Elon Musk SpaceX firm bars Kia from using Starlink tech for drone control. That's interesting. Early in the war, Ukraine has given thousands of SpaceX Starlink dishes, but it also said to have used the tech to target Russian positions, breaking policy set out by SpaceX. A Ukrainian official said the companies had to choose which side they were on. They could join Ukraine and the right to freedom, or pick Russia and its right to kill and seize territories. At an event in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, SpaceX President Yen Shotwell explained that Starlink technology was never meant to be weaponized. Well, okay. They have a SpaceX version that is for federal, so how about that? So, Russia's been accused of attempting to jam Starlink signals by SpaceX, and she said the company has taken steps to limit the abilities of the Ukrainian armed forces to use Starlink in an offensive way without giving further details. What say you? What do you think about that one? What do you think about that one? Because you have the U.S. government using satellite technology in weapons platforms. So what's the difference? Realme GT's Neo 5 launched in China. It's among the fastest charging smartphones on the market. 240-watt fast charging will charge that smartphone in under 10 minutes. I don't think it's coming to the United States, so I don't have to worry. But that's pretty cool. It'll charge that quick. Question is, how long will the battery last? Those of you that are Thunderbird, yes, Thunderbird email client fans, Mozilla is decided to finally give it a makeover. So this is good news. Now we know Thunderbird looks like it's been stuck in 2003. July, with the upcoming launch of version 1.15, will update the client, will support a new, simple, and clean user interface. So if you've been a fan, this summer you're going to get a fresh look. The world's largest radio telescope, now hold on to your hats, just scanned 33 exoplanets for a signal for aliens. The 500-meter aperture spiral telescope, located in, yes, China, is currently the world's largest and most sophisticated radio observatory. Why is that? While its primary purpose is to conduct large-scale neutral hydrogen surveys, the most common element in the universe, to study pulsars and detect fast radio bursts, scientists plan to use the array in the search for ET. So they have found a couple of things. They say it's not an alien signal, but they're using some new technology to scan the skies from China. Of course, the Archibald telescope was closed down in Puerto Rico some time ago. So this is the next biggest one in China. SpaceX apparently is conducting their 33-engine startup test today. And so I don't know when it's going to go or if it's already went. The stream is... Did the stream actually happen? Did they actually...
On those oil rigs now. If you want to keep up...
Okay, so who knows? But anyway, there was a stream. I don't know if it actually went down or not. But we'll be able to get news on that later. But I didn't see any updates whether or not it happened. But anyway, Elon Musk is saying Starship may go next month, which is very, very, very exciting. And finally, could a dark energy phase change relieve the Hubble tension? According to Mice-Wiley cosmological theories, the universe began roughly 13.8 billion years ago in what is known as the Big Bang. Ever since then, the universe has been in a constant state of expansion into something. What astrophysicists known as the Hubble constant. For decades, astronauts attempted to measure the rate of expansion. Unfortunately, there are only two methods produce different values over the past decade. And they've got some new ways that they're thinking to measure it. But anyway, I'm going to leave this. It's on Universe Today. You can check it out. And we're not going to go into the full details, but there's a pretty intense, deep article. All right. Hey, if you've been watching on Facebook, make sure you say hello. Appreciate when you do. As always, you can send comments about today's show at geeknews@gmail.com. I am available on Twitter at Geek News. Don't forget our sponsor, GoDaddy at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And of course, if you're not using a new podcast app from newpodcastapps.com, don't use one of those old legacy apps that don't have all the new features. Grab Podverse, grab Fountain. You can Cast-O-Matic. You can watch this show live on many of these apps from the app. You can watch the video or listen to the stream. And definitely check it out. And you can boost the show while we're live. You can actually send a comment to the show. And actually, we got one from Dave Jones. SBF has a Substack now. What does that mean? I don't understand that, Dave. SBF. Oh, that's interesting. Sam Bankman-Fried has a Substack. Oh, okay. We'll look it over. But I got it. He has a Substack. Really? Thank you for the 10,101 sats that came in from Dave Jones while we were live here 21 minutes ago. See, people are listening and watching live. They're watching on Carriercast, Cariocaster, Podverse. Definitely check it out. Pocket Cast, I think, only supports live audio. So we're making moves here, ladies and gentlemen. We want you to participate in the new podcast ecosystem by going to newpodcastapps.com. It's been my pleasure to bring you the show. And again, come on. If you want to just send me a PayPal, that's cool too. You can do that at geeknewscentral.com/insider. It's been my pleasure bringing a podcast. I'll be back with you on Thursday for another show. And we're here until sometime in March because I'm not going anywhere. And we appreciate all of your longtime support of the podcast. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time. Today is Thursday. We'll see you back on Monday. Duh. My God, it's almost the end of the week. Where did this one go? All right. All of you watching on Facebook and everyone else. Hey, Richard, thanks for saying hello. We're out of here. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.